The second volume begins right after the first. After Guts finds out that this man has a behelit, he grabs him by the neck and starts choking him until the man tells him everything he wants to know about this weird object. Verga starts telling Guts about how he served the Count 7 years ago, but then, after getting his hands on the behelit, he changed and started eating and torturing people. He and his family tried to escape, but they were caught and tortured, but he managed to escape and grab this thing that corrupted the Count. Since then, he tried to uncover what is this thing, but he didn't have any luck with that. Guts explains to him that this is a key to another dimension that is ruled by 5 members of Godhand. Verga starts begging Guts for help and grabs him by the shoulder, for which Guts kicks the man from him. He calls Vergas a monster for how he looks, but we will find out that that's not the only reason why Guts kicked him. While this is happening, there is a ruckus in the castle. The big soldier that Guts humiliated goes mad and the Count turns him into a demon by giving him a part of his demon. The demon manages to find Guts and starts attacking him. A second after the demon attacks, Guts cuts off his arm, but the demon grows out another one. With this arm and unhuman strength, he was using his battle axe as a whip, but Guts still manages to deflect everything, and in another precise attack he cuts off another arm and a part of his head from which the real demon reveals himself. After making a dozen strikes, the basement they were in takes too much damage and collapses on the demon soldier. The others manage to escape through the sewer. For killing the demon, Guts grabs the behelit as a reward and leaves the man without a home and without food. But the worst thing is that he didn't even kill the demon. While Guts is leaving, he hears from some guys that the Count has ordered another execution and the man in question is no other than Vergas. The morning before the execution, Guts fixes up and reloads all his weapons, but we also find out why he is helping the man and why he kicked him back there. It's because he sees a part of himself in the man, someone that was scarred physically and mentally by the demons and now only lives for revenge. When the time of execution comes, Guts can't do anything because there are just too many guards and Vergas dies. And for the first time, we see Guts feeling bad for someone's death. Next night, Guts sneaks into the castle, but the Count was expecting him, making sure that his demon soldier is waiting for him. And once again, Guts slices the soldier, but when he turns his back on him, the demon manages to get a hit on Guts. Then he gets a bit overconfident and stands over Guts, getting ready to kill him, and in the moment Guts cuts the demon's head off, managing to kill the body, and after that he squishes the demon's head against the wall, killing the Count's offspring. Then we get a few chapters describing the Count's daughter, and the only thing that you have to know is that she knows her father has changed after her mother died, but he still does everything for her and she is still the most important thing to him. In the meanwhile, Guts is making his way to the Count, but he is stopped by some soldiers, which he kills with relative ease. And finally he manages to get to the Count. As soon as he comes close to the Count, he steps into a trap that doesn't manage to kill him, and in that moment the Count acknowledges Guts as a worthwhile opponent and transforms into his true form. This form reminds me of Aldrich from Dark Souls, which was also a big gluttonous slug that ate men. Just as the other fight with that lord, Guts is thrown around the room, being overpowered just by the size difference alone. After a few good hits, Guts stops moving and the Count is ready to eat him, but in that moment his daughter walks in and sees her father in his true demon form. In the moment his daughter walks in, he loses focus and releases Guts. Guts wakes up and throws a few knives at his head to get his attention. He purposely gets hit and thrown against the pillar, and just seconds from that, he grabs the Count's daughter, stopping his attack, and in the moment he busts out his hand cannon, shooting the demon's head, after which he grabs his sword with his motherfucking mouth, seeing as his hands are broken and still manages to cut the demon's head clean off. After which he starts carving the demon's head right in front of his daughter, and while stabbing the head, he slips on some blood, and as his strength leaves his body, he is finally rejoicing that he killed another demon. But in that moment, the Count's will to live kicks in, awakening the beheaded with his blood, and everyone in the room is transported into another dimension. As they arrive there, we finally get to see the 5 members of Godhand. Guts immediately notices Griffith, who starts insulting him, which awakens a fire in Guts, which gives him enough strength to stand up and start walking up to Griffith. We also got a significant detail about his mark. It doesn't just bleed, but when he is next to a demon, it also hurts. And the stronger the demon is, the effect of the mark is also multiplied. And seeing as he's standing next to a god of demons, this pain could be enough to kill a man. But even with all this pain, he manages to swing his sword, but it was still futile as he is thrown against the wall by Griffith's telekinetic powers, I can presume. But let's focus on the demon that actually summoned the Godhand. He makes a wish to be saved from death, but for that he needs a sacrifice. He tries to sacrifice gods, but it can be a human that is already branded or a human you don't have strong feelings towards, and the only person that he can actually sacrifice is the very reason why he became a demon, his daughter. He starts begging if he can sacrifice anyone else, but compared to his daughter, every other human is meaningless. The Godhand encourages him to do what he did last time. Now, I can't show you exactly what he did last time since it's too graphic for YouTube, but basically one day he came back from a battlefield and found out his wife was participating in this weird devil cult orgy, and in the moment he's blinded by rage and kills everyone in that room except for his wife. And when the time finally comes to kill her, he can't. In a desperate attempt to escape the despair, he tries to kill himself, and the wailing of his soul summons the gods. Interesting thing, at this point Griffith is not a part of the Godhand. For ending his suffering, he sacrifices the person that he loved and hated more than anything, giving him the powers of a demon. And the Godhand now wants him to sacrifice his daughter, becoming a true demon, hollow of emotion. But he can't bring himself to do it. Instead, he is pulled into the infinite vortex of Dark Souls, Dark Souls, into an infinite vortex of Dark Souls in front of his daughter. The demons of hell also try to take Guts since he is also branded with the sacrifice, but as he's being pulled, he fires his hand cannon at Griffith, which doesn't damage him, but it does free Guts from the souls that were dragging him into hell. And just as the Godhead appeared, they vanished into thin air, leaving Guts, Puck, and the Count's daughter behind. Count's daughter blames Guts for everything, and in a way, it is his fault for all of this. And as he is leaving, the girl yells at him that someday she will kill him, to which he just smiles and says that he is ready whenever she is. But when he turns around, we clearly see that he feels bad for putting her through all this. Now, I know this is not the end of the third volume, but the next few chapters, or I don't know how many since I didn't read them, it talks about Guts' backstory, so I will leave that for another video. This time I only wrote down two things. The brand bleeds and hurts depending on the power of the demon. Guts is probably the man Griffith sacrificed, which could mean they are brothers, or at very least, they are adopted brothers. And that's it for this video. See you all in the next volume.